to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking about you and your business. Got to get to spend some time with a good friend of mine who I think is a brilliant individual when it comes to understanding the whole area of real estate investment. One of the most important areas out there is a boom industry, even in this crazy economy, and maybe especially in this crazy economy. Brian Spitz. He's with the BigStateHomeBuyers.com, and I always enjoy checking out that page, particularly the investor section. Brian, welcome to the program as always. What do you got lined up for us on today's program?
Good morning, Kevin. What I wanted to touch on today is some issues about both selling property with back taxes on it, but also for your investor listeners, talking about buying properties at tax foreclosure auctions and what that looks like and what the consequences of that are.
Okay, great. So go ahead and tee it up for us. Sure.
Okay, well, one of the things, and this may be pretty obvious to many of your listeners, but it's not to everybody. There's a lot of debts and liens that can be negotiated when you go to sell your house. So even your mortgage or credit card payments that have been charged off, or child support liens. If you have a lot of title issues that are on a property, a lot of those can be negotiated. But the one thing that cannot be negotiated is your property taxes. So the property tax entities, they come first. They always collect every dollar due, and so it's really important that it's really important to pay your property taxes every year, and it's really important if you get behind that you work out some sort of payment plan with your property taxes. We buy properties from people all the time who have gotten behind in their property taxes, and sometimes they get to us too late, and they're so far behind we can't help. But a lot of times we're able to, stop foreclosure from stop tax foreclosure or something similar and move forward with buying their property, getting them some cash out of it. Another thing that I run into recently, and this is really regarding estates, if somebody passes away and you inherit a property, or whether or not you officially inherit it through a will or it just gets passed down to you, it's also really important that you notify the tax entities that the person has passed away. If there's an over 65 exemption or if there's a homestead exemption. We're buying a house right now where the person passed away 6 years ago and they never took the exemption off, so they're rolling back the taxes 5 and 6 years and adding penalties and interest, and it's really making it uncomfortable for the seller.
Right,
and honestly,
right.
He never knew that he had to do that. So,
not to mention the fact that at some point you're actually in the business of making money yourself, and so if it gets too tedious, you're going to find yourself not in a position to be able to help them.
Exactly. The other thing
and by the way, just to say, the morality, the moral to that tale is that the sooner you get help when it starts to become distress, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's really easy not to face problems that people get embarrassed or ashamed of the situation or just don't want to deal with it. But it's always better to face these things head on than kind of ignore it and hope it goes away. And that's kind of human nature. It takes a stronger person to really face these things.
Yep.
And we help people with that all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when people are in distressed property situations, kind of give us a couple scenarios that you are often working with.
We deal mostly with inherited properties, and we can help resolve estate issues and chain of title issues. We deal with people that are getting divorced. We deal with a lot of people that have back taxes due on the property, some people that are behind on their mortgage payments, and a lot of times people who just have a house that they've moved on from, so they either don't want to repair it to sell it, or they want a quick sale for whatever reason, whether they're relocating or building another house and they need to sell this one to qualify for the new loan. Those are all really common scenarios, and we're really skilled at helping all of those people.
Absolutely. You do it all the time. How long have you been doing this now, Brian?
I've been investing and helping people with their real estate problems for 8 years.
Hard to believe.
And Big State has been officially in business for 5 years.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, I'm sure like most, real estate investors, you started like everybody else and, as a solopreneur doing it. Yeah. And then eventually it just evolved into a business model.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very, very good. Go ahead.
The other thing I'm dealing with right now, a property that we're buying, so I thought it would be interesting to mention, is buying properties at tax foreclosure. The tax foreclosure auction happens once a month, every Tuesday, first Tuesday of every month, and it's an opportunity for you to go out and bid on properties that the county or the state or whatever the taxing entity is foreclosing on. And you can usually get really good deals. I think you can get better deals at the tax foreclosure sales than you can at the mortgage foreclosure sale. Mm-hmm. However, there's something that not everyone is aware of. When you buy a property at the tax foreclosure auction, the previous owner has a 2-year right of redemption for their property. So they have 2 years after the date of sale to go back to the courts and redeem their rights to the house. The trick is that they're responsible for 25% penalty for anything that the new buyer has spent or paid on the house. So, for instance, we're buying a house right now from an individual. It's sold at tax auction for $54,000. We're helping her redeem the property so that we can buy it, but essentially we're paying the person who bought it at the auction $67,000. So there's a pretty hefty penalty. So it's not common that the taxes are paid up afterwards and the property is redeemed, but it is possible. So, and because of that, you can't get clear title for 2 years after you purchase it. You can get title policy, but it will have an exception for the right of redemption. So it's really important if you buy tax foreclosure sales that you realize that there is that right of redemption. It's really good if you want to rent the property out and hold on to it till the 2 years expire, but you are committed to holding on to it.
Okay. So you are potentially going to lose it, though, after 2 years.
Within 2 years, for 2 years, it's possible that you could lose it to the previous owner.
But you can still profit from it. So you probably want one in fairly decent shape, so you're not investing too much into something that you could lose.
Right. I mean, if you buy it for $50,000 and you have $100,000 in it, by the time you fix it up and pay insurance and everything, then the old owner would have to pay you $125,000 to get it back. So you still make money, but if your long-term strategy is to buy and hold, or especially if your strategy is to buy and flip, then you have to be really aware of what you're getting into when you buy at the tax foreclosure sale. So
although it sounds really unlikely that they're going to come up with the money.
It's very unlikely, but it can happen. Mm-hmm. And the more important key thing there is that you can't flip the property. You cannot bring in a new buyer for 2 years because the right of redemption has to expire before the title company will give title insurance or a lender will write a new loan on the house.
Brian Spitz is his name. Always love having him on the program. He's with BigStateHomebuyers.com. That's BigStateHomebuyers.com. Check him out. Check him out often. Great stuff, keeping you informed. I always like to look at the property section. Saw one today for $7,000. That's just crazy. Thanks for being with us, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up down the hall over at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook. Follow it on Twitter.
It's been getting so hard to live.